As we begin this service, we would like to acknowledge that it is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to elders who lost their lives in the colonization of this land, and we recognize that these indigenous tribes are still today facing violations of sovereignty, territory, and water. We also give thanks for the earth we walk upon, the waters, the life-giving plants, and all the earth's creatures, as well as the winds, sun, moon, and stars. We recognize that this is just a first step in moving toward right relationships with native peoples and healing the earth. Good morning and welcome to the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, FPC, to our members and friends, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Susan Moses, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. If this is your first time with us, we welcome you. Since this is a summer service, our minister, the Reverend Cindy Landrum, and the rest of our staff are taking a well-deserved break. But after services, please feel free to ask me for more information about the church and our programs. I also invite you to check out our webpage, www.fpc-stowe-acton.org, for news and information, and you can also sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. For your safety and that of those around you, we ask that you please keep your masks on and properly over your nose. Please check with people you're talking to about what distance they would like you to be at, and please make sure the air filters are on when you congregate in any rooms. After the service, it is our custom to have coffee hour. We have not yet begun to arrange for actual coffee, but we encourage you to go to the fellowship hall after the service for conversation and information. And for those off-site people joining us by Zoom, we'll have breakout groups following the service. And just a couple of announcements. First, we want to give a big kudos to the people who participated yesterday in putting on the great beer fest and truck fest that we had. We had over 50 volunteers working on the event, and it grossed over $15,000. It netted over $13,000 for the church. It was well above what we expected. And on to our next fundraiser. On September 17th, we'll be holding a yard sale here at FPC out in the parking lot. There are two ways to participate. You can either donate items to the FPC table, and we ask that if you're donating items to FPC for the yard sale that you price them in advance. And you can also, if you have a number of items that you would like to sell yourself, you can rent a table for $25 and participate in the yard sale that way. The yard sale will start at, I think it's 9, is that right? 9 a.m., set up at 8 a.m. If you're setting up to work on the FPC table, that's going to start at 7 a.m. And finally, a little bit ironically, but I'd just like you all to know that the membership committee is looking for members. So if you're interested, we could really use some more help on that committee. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marion. And thank you. Now is that better? Yes. Okay. I'm Marion, and we gather today in the middle of mounting concern over our climate reality. We see how our situation has changed dramatically over the last very few years. Together, we will share some of the mitigating efforts underway from politics, economics, and increasing public interest to a few of the more ambitious and creative solutions in the country and around the world. Together, we will create dreams for the future that we want to live in, and with the resolve to make the planet the way we dream. Come, let us dream together. Everything starts with a vision. Let us dream. And now we'll do the chalice lighting. And yeah. And we have words by Paul Sprecher. Thanks, Ruth. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery. So you can turn to the teal hymnal. It's hymn number 1073. And our ukuleles and drums will... What? Okay, great, thank you. So next is covenant and affirmation. You can, yes, you can stand if you'd like. So, love is the spirit of this church and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
So good morning. Is this working okay? So when people focus on what they really want, they tend to relax preconceived limitations and achieve more than they think is possible. Yesterday's beer fest is an example. As an example, a consultant named Fred Jervis used to tell the story of two small resort hotels serving the same general set of vacationers in the same general beautiful location. Both wanted to improve the number of returning guests from one year to the next. Currently, they each had about 5 guests out of their 100 guests from one year returning the next year. He asked the employees of one hotel to choose a goal for returning guests that seemed realistic to them. They indicated that going from 5 to 7 or 8 returning guests each year would be a realistic increase. Over the next year, they focused on achieving that goal and achieved it. Fred also asked the employees of the other hotel to set an ideal goal for returning guests from one year to the next. They developed a vision for their hotel where from 5 returning guests to 55 out of every 100 guests would return for a second or third time. That hotel went on to achieve 42 returning guests per year. The managers of the second hotel focused on what they really wanted to achieve and achieved it. Today, there are many people who set goals for improving the climate like that first hotel. Reasonable goals that they feel they can achieve. But we know we are facing a climate emergency. We must do more to protect the climate and the planet. We need to dream big dreams and go get them. You may remember the conversation between Alice and the White Queen in Through the Looking Glass. Alice laughed. "There's no use trying," she said. "One can't believe impossible things." "I dare say you haven't had much practice," said the Queen. "When I was your age, I always did it for a half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast."
Good morning. Now is the time where we get to share our joys and sorrows that have happened in our lives over the week. We'll start with the people online, and while everybody else prepares with microphones, and Ruth will light the candles. So if there's anybody online, if you'd like to unmute your mic and express your joy or sorrow, please do. So we'll light one final candle for all the joys and sorrows that remain in our heart but unspoken.
So the next part will be a responsive reading led by Ruth Lowe.
Our theme this morning, as you know, is to dream a better dream for our climate. But before we can dream of a better future for our climate, we must acknowledge the current reality. Join me in what will be spoken from me and then a response from you with an affirmative after I stop reading. With the affirmative, we must rise to the challenge. Our planet continues to hit new record high temperatures, 65 degrees in Antarctica, 104 in London, 106 in Japan, 120 in Turkey, 121 in British Columbia, and 123 in Australia. We must rise to the challenge. Severe droughts are presently occurring throughout the world, in Southern Africa, in Central Asia, the American Southwest and West, in France, and even here in Massachusetts. We There are record-setting fires in California, Yosemite, France, Spain, Siberia, Australia. Unprecedented flooding in Kentucky, Germany, India, Pakistan, New York, Death Valley, Australia, Indonesia, China, Brazil, and Yemen. The Earth's Great Lakes, Great Salt Lake, Lake Mead, Lake Powell, Lake Chad, and the Dead Sea are rapidly drying up. The immense ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica continue their collapse. Glaciers shrink, and the Arctic is becoming ice-free at an alarming rate. From mites to whales, life is threatened everywhere. Mass extinctions are increasingly likely. Already 15% of coral is gone, a fraction expected to increase to 95 to 99% if we don't address climate change. Radical changes to ecosystems are occurring. Russian permafrost is turning to forest. The Brazilian rainforest is becoming grassland, and deserts are rapidly growing in India, China, and Sahel. The Gulf Stream, and this is really serious, has become unstable, coming closer to collapse. The list of damages goes on and on. Ocean acidification, land abuse and destruction, the creation of more and more plastic products which require fossil fuels for their manufacture. Our politics is broken. All 211 representatives and 50 senators from one party opposed a climate bill, and the Supreme Court has ruled to weaken government response. We must rise to the challenge. Thank you.
Reality by Andrea Rich. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Amidst this litany of bad environmental news, there is some exciting positive actions being taken. Technology is being developed. Policy is being passed. There is good news. Let's take a moment, reflect on what we see as positive things happening here and in the world. Reflect on the good things you hear or know are being done to help our world heal. Now turn to your neighbor and share some of the positive actions you've seen. On Zoom, please share your thoughts in the chat. So I'd like to take just a moment for people to share some of the positive things that they've seen happen. Who would like to share? Please raise your hand. Yes, Miriam.
I get the Good News Network, and yesterday. Oh, thank you. I'm going to just talk. Hello? Yes. I get the Good News Network, and yesterday there was a story about in California, they are covering their canals, which they have a lot of, with solar panels. So they get to protect the water in the canal and create electricity for their much needed needs.
And the UN has called for 30% of the planet to be left to nature by 2030. Stowe already exceeds that goal.
I've been very happy that I've been able to find an awful lot more products that many people buy in plastics now available in non-plastic materials, such as shampoo and lotion and cleaning products. And the more we buy them, the more they'll become affordable to more people.
Anyone else? Come on, there are lots more good news. I haven't heard anybody mention about the federal law that just got passed.
Hi, I'm Ellen Anthony, and for a long time, Eastern Massachusetts had one, maybe two food co-ops, which are organizations controlled by their owners, and so they're not thinking about corporate profits or what do the people in Holland who own the mega store business. Anyway, but now there's going to be, I know you all know this, a food co-op in Maynard, which will, among other things, be focused towards more sustainable and recyclable and all those kinds of things, and improve things a bit. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I hesitated to stand up because I can't think of the name of the organization, but there is an organization that actually is based in Boston, and it's science-focused. And in a recent article in that organization's magazine that I read, the person actually who has been leading their research on cleaning up oceans observed that the latest generation, the new generation of American youth are much different from when he was a kid just starting up. That when he was young, he and his friends saw nature as out there. And now there seems to be a real movement toward ownership from the young people, which to me looks really, really hopeful.
Well, some good news from halfway around the world. As of July 1st, Delhi, a city of 18 million people, there's no single-use plastic allowed. There's no plastic silverware, no small water bottles, and it's totally banned. The state of Maharashtra, probably about 100 million people or more, last year did the same thing. But things are happening. The issue basically here is, so we are so divided, we can't get something simple like that done.
We've been traveling a lot around the country, and we were in Oklahoma and Texas this January. And while there still are a lot of oil rigs, we also noticed that the hills were covered with windmills. And we discovered that Texas has incentives for wind power being developed on the ranch land. And as an economy, Texas is among the top 5 in the world for having wind power. So I was just really pleased to see that, because we were really discouraged by some of the oil refining, but they are looking to other sources as well.
Okay, I'd like to turn to the Zoom. And Cheryl, is there any positive news from the chat?
Has no color. I use this all the time. It has luminosity just from the moisture content. This is tawny. It really cuts the yellow in my skin. It's got a really nice bronze with just a touch of red in it. This is bronze, and this has a little bit of golden to it. Women that have red in their skin. Yes, but I can't. Dusty rose, such a beautiful color. It really does enhance a lot of skin tones, makes fair women look like they have the
We can all use a little positive news.
perfect little highlight. Sun-kissed is the perfect color to add a tint to the skin. They want a little bit of highlight. This also looks incredible on the lips. When you blend it in really good, it gives a really nice tint, but it is the perfect color for dark skin. Flushed is that pop of color that everyone was asking me for.
We don't have
It looks good on anyone.
we don't
Okay.
we can't chat.
Magic
We cannot
Hour
chat with one another.
My new go-to. I always have one in my bag when you really want to.
All right, with that being said, we're holding this tension between the current reality
Okay,
of bad news and
I
the
love
positive
that.
things that are being done.
Especially
Let's turn to our gray hymnals, 163. Stand if you're able, for the earth ever turning.
The Miracle Balm. It doesn't require a lot of skill. It doesn't require a lot of time. And honestly, this is the reason I started Jonas Flow.
Avocados are really one of the best foods. They're almost pure fat and fiber. It's fiber that your gut you actually lose weight by eating avocados. Tomatoes. Now remember, tomatoes are not a vegetable. They are a fruit. And the scary thing about tomatoes is that the peel and the seed have lectins. Very nasty lectins. So if you have issues with joint pain or arthritis, this is not your friend.
So now we ask if you're able to share to support the work of this church and the work of our plate sharing organizations. We have now started our September plate sharing with is Open Table. They are in Maynard, and a number of us have been supporting them with fresh produce from our gardens, and they are a sister organization to our guest table. So please share what you can. Appreciate it. This next thing is called Earth Song, and in your bulletin you have the actual words of this song sung by the group.
See Today we have looked at the challenges that we must face. We know the future we don't want, one of ecosystem and collapse and extinctions, and we considered some of the news that can give us hope. Now, let us reflect and meditate on a dream. The future we do want, ignoring for the moment what seems possible or even likely, instead focusing on what's desirable. Take a few moments to imagine the ideal world you wish you, your family and friends, indeed everyone, could live in. A world where we have solved the climate issue, where life on Earth is no longer endangered. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Feel the world beneath your feet and the clothes and the air touching your skin. Relax and let go. How does it feel to be in this world? What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? Are you tasting different things? In this ideal world, how would we relate to the earth, to each other, and to nature? How do we get and use energy, travel, eat, play, learn, and work? Perhaps consider the kind of economy or politics or government or corporations or religions we would have in that world. Are there wonderful consequences beyond climate that we have resulted? When you are ready, take a deep breath and open your eyes.
So I have to give credit to another member of the Climate Task Force who couldn't be with us today, Paul Reisberg. These are his thoughts. They're also mine. Importance of a dream. The challenges ahead are frightening and overwhelming. It is easy to get demoralized and stuck in stasis, to feel all is hopeless and to just surrender. When we focus on the barriers and stumbling blocks, then that is where our energy goes, and they become immense and are seemingly unbeatable. Instead, when we focus not on what is holding us back, but on where our strength is, then that is where our energy goes and our possibilities grow. Martin Luther King understood that change begins with a dream. The dream enables and ennobles us. It shows us possibilities where there seem to be only barriers. It reveals a path forward and energizes us with hope for the necessary work ahead. In the musical South Pacific, Bloody Mary tells us, if you don't have a dream, how are you going to make your dream come true? It starts with a dream. The dream is an arrow telling us what direction to head. It is a source of energy to push us past the challenges and is a source of communal strength through a shared vision. We can envision a world where climate has gotten the serious attention it deserves, leading to a sea change in attitudes and possibility. Dissembling, dishonesty, and lies have been replaced with a deep appreciation of the importance of truth, science, and wisdom. Instead of being frozen in fear and feeling impotent at the enormity of the problem, we have discovered a new energizing optimism. Climate is no longer an issue that pulls us apart. Instead, it has become a driver that has the world pulling together to solve its myriad problems. In this vision, many profound structural changes have occurred. The desire of nations to establish dominance has been replaced with a competition and pride over which country can become the greenest. Instead of focusing on greed, capitalism is about using markets for innovation, creating efficiencies for new green technologies. Political parties, instead of fighting over whether we need to go forward or backward, have united over a shared reality and differ only on the best solutions as they fight over which is the greenest. Businesses no longer lobby for denial and delay, but put their energies into green innovation. Our media has abandoned its obsessions with clicks, outrage, false equivalencies, and phony debates, and replaced it with a rediscovered focus on truth, honest information, and civic responsibility. Governments no longer pander to competing groups, but act for the common interest as a catalyst for green change, smoothing the transitions for citizens, businesses, and institutions. Religions guide people in a new relationship with nature, one in which humanity is in a partnership with the earth and its other inhabitants. A new world. When we look out at this new world, we see deadly fossil mines, refineries, and power plants have been replaced by new clean energies using local resources. Wind, solar, hydro, tidal, and geothermal employed as available and supplemented with fission and fusion as needed. An upgraded international grid has resulted in cooperation and resiliency. With plentiful green energies, the devil's bargain that dirty energy was necessary to establish growth has been broken. Multi-lane highways choked with pollution spewing poisons with high decibels, stop-and-go traffic, occupied with stressed commuters strapped in their isolation cells, have been replaced with quiet greenways full of bicyclists, e-scooters, pedestrians, and self-driving shared EVs. A community of travelers and idle wanderers has replaced the smoggy cacophony of the old fossil world. Traffic noise supplanted by the sounds of children playing. Looking out at the ocean, we see hybrid electric sails, ships, and a sky with planes flying on zero carbon fuels. A meat-centered diet with its concomitant horror of industrialized farms that had used 70% of agricultural land has been replaced with a wide variety of novel and better tasting fermented vegetarian foods. This newly liberated land allows for a shared planet in which 50% is left forever wild, ensuring biodiverse, healthy ecosystems. Consequences? Having replaced our current nightmare with the green dream, the world changed in ways beyond controlling greenhouse gases. As individuals, institutions, and nations, we learned that it is possible to overcome our greatest and most frightening challenges. We discovered that cooperation can be more powerful and more satisfying than greed and dominance. As we learn to nurture the earth, we also learn to nurture each other, leading to an intergenerational, cosmopolitan society. Worldwide, a peace of mind and spirit arose from having vanquished our self-inflicted wounds and learning instead to encourage our better angels. Generosity, truth, compassion, empathy, and connection of necessity must reign if we are to survive. What are your dreams for the climate? Dreams for how you will contribute to a greener, less polluting world? Are they bold dreams? Remember what the Queen said to Alice. Have bold dreams and then go after them. What's the page number?
Our next hymn is in your order of service. It's Keep On Moving Forward. Rise if you're able. Page 8. It is page 8? Okay. In the gray hymnal? No. Oh, page 8 on your, there. Thank you.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna work to save our planet. Work to save our planet. Work to save our planet. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna tackle global warming. Gonna tackle global warming. Gonna tackle global warming. Never turning away from fossil fuel. Stop our wasting water. Stop our wasting water. Never turning back. Never turning back. Moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back.
Thank you, Pat, ukularians, and our drummers. I'd like to close with the excerpts for Amanda Gorman's Earthrise, where despite disparities, we care to protect this world, this riddle blue marble, this little true marvel, to muster the verb and the nerve, to see how we can serve our planet. You don't need to be a politician to make it your mission, conserve, to protect, to preserve that one and only home that is ours, to use your unique power to give next generations the planet they deserve. Benediction.